Welcome to the Motormouth YouTube channel. I'm Zach.
I'm Andrea.
And we do full-length car reviews each and every week. You subscribe, right? So you know halfway through we stop for a segment called Questions, Coffee, and Cars. We've spun it off 1:45, Andrea. How do you get a question in?
Follow along on Instagram at Motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday morning I put a post out on Instagram asking for questions. Once we gather the questions, the post is deleted and we start the show.
Time now for Questions, Coffee, and Cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
Love the content. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Does Genesis have any plans for a traditional hybrid version of the GV70 or GV80? Thanks and hello from the heartland of the USA.
A little cold in the heartland of the USA.
It's really cold.
You know what they always, whenever they do the weather in the United States,
Yeah.
that cold Canadian air. You always blame it on us. It's always
Can you blame them?
Yeah, that cold Canadian air.
I would do the same. So I actually reached out to Genesis. I looked all online, and obviously there's lots of rumors that a hybrid's coming. It's going to be a 2.5 liter turbo. No one really knows which vehicles are going to get it, but Genesis, when I reached out to the PR team, they said to us that they are focused on electrification, and they're going to continue to monitor the market, and that there will be an announcement at some point.
So I read, I think it was Automotive News,
Yeah.
that they're going to they realize the market has changed, and the march towards electrification isn't going as swimmingly as they had all thought. But they do have hybrid in their arsenal, so why wouldn't you use it?
For sure, and I think it's going to be terrific. And then I also wonder if they use that hybrid powertrain instead of the 1.6T that they use in other Hyundai models and Kia models. Will the Palisade get a 2.5 liter turbo hybrid and Telluride, which should be amazing. Amazing.
Will the Palisade and Telluride get the hybrid?
100% no. So
we don't know.
We don't know. It's all rumors online. Even Edmunds. I read an article from Edmunds, and they basically said, yeah, a hybrid is coming for Genesis. And then I'm looking for some sort of a press release from Genesis.
There's nothing.
And I can't find anything, which is why I reached out to the PR team, and they confirmed that I haven't missed anything. There is no press release. I currently have a Mazda CX-5 that I love, but I find it's just not rugged enough for Saskatchewan gravel roads and daily winter country driving. I'm thinking about leaving Mazda for a Honda Passport. Do you think it's worth waiting for the new one, or should I try to get a deal on the old model?
The new one's pretty nice, though.
I would wait for the new one myself.
Well, you know what? There's something to be said for going for the old model and getting a deal on it. It all depends on your financial situation. If you can swing the new one, maybe wait for the new one. But the old one, it was more off-roady in name.
Yeah.
I think this new one's going to have a little more capability.
I just like the look of the new one. Even the interior looks better. Everything is better about the new one, in my opinion. I say if you can wait on it, get the new one. I'm sure it's not going to be super easy to get initially, but it looks really good. We saw it at which auto show? LA Auto Show. It looks really good. Happy New Year. Which one would you pick between the CRV Hybrid versus the Outlander Gas GT based on long-term ownership, comfort, and long-term reliability?
So that's the Mitsubishi Outlander GT, not hybrid.
Not hybrid, the gas
Okay,
model.
I think that's easy. You're going to go for the CRV. You're hedging against the future with fuel costs, and you're hedging against the future, which is where the market is going. So more and more people are wanting hybrids. So when you go to sell yours, you have a hybrid to sell versus a gas model. I think it's a better financial decision. I understand you're running the numbers, and you're like, I get so much more in the Mitsubishi. And you do, but it's all about the overall cost of ownership. And the biggest ownership cost is depreciation. So that's why I would go with the Honda.
Now, if you were saying the Outlander plug-in hybrid, I would definitely consider that one. I think it's very good, and they're updating it for 2025 as well. I don't really love the gas model Outlander for power on the highway. So it really depends what you're using it for. So yes, I think for reliability and even resale value, I think that the CRV hybrid's the way to go. Although the Outlander has been reliable.
The only
It's not
problem
an
with the
issue.
Outlander is the gas model is underpowered. I think it's 180 horsepower, something like that. It's just underpowered.
And there's also in the US not as many dealerships around. In Canada there are more. So I think when you go to sell the Outlander at some point, it might not be as easy to sell as something like a CRV hybrid with so many Honda dealerships everywhere.
The problem with Mitsubishi is looked at as a discount brand,
Yeah.
right? It's a value-driven brand. The Outlander has changed that a lot for them, but the rest of their lineup is still value-based. And when you get into a discount kind of perception, then people want a discount when it's used. And Honda is a premium when they charge for their hybrids, as you've probably found out. So you would think that relates to higher resale value.
Love your show. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your insights with us. I'm getting a new luxury compact SUV in 2025. With some SUVs, the same model comes with different size tires depending on the trim level. Can you explain what the difference in tire sizes will make to the driving experience? That does make a big difference. A smaller tire gives you a more pleasant ride. It tends to eat up those imperfections in the road, but it also has to do with the width of the tire. So it is a little bit different.
All right, so I pulled the lid off as a demonstration.
Oh,
Okay.
as a demonstration.
Okay, so that is the circumference of the wheel and tire together. Okay, so when you go for a smaller wheel, their circumference is the same. So what happens is the wheel in the middle gets smaller. We'll use this as the middle part here is a smaller wheel and this lip here is a larger wheel. You can see that if this part is the smaller wheel, the tire makes up the difference. So you get more absorption. The first line of the suspension is the tire, and the tire actually absorbs a lot of the imperfections in the road. When you go to a bigger tire, then the tire is much shallower, much less absorption. So a shallower, or what they call a lower profile tire will give you a firmer ride, a wider track as well, and all of that is good. But if you're all about comfort and you live somewhere with crap roads, you want a smaller wheel with a bigger tire.
And also, if you're buying a hybrid, for example, a smaller wheel will get you better fuel economy as well. Sometimes we go for a bigger wheel because it looks kind of cool. It gives it a bolder look, a more
Athletic, stylish.
Yeah, great stance to it. But if you want something with great fuel economy and just a really easy kind of going drive, go for the smaller wheel. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. One more
Before you go
year.
on, can I just make one more thing?
Sure.
Andrea did mention it. She's absolutely right. When you go for a bigger wheel, the tire actually gets wider. A lot of people don't know that. So that's why in areas where people drive with a lot of snow, when you buy winter tires, you always get a smaller wheel and a narrower tire. And that means it can bite through the snow and the ice better than a wider tire. All right, all done.
One more year of my favorite show. Thank you. These days.
Are we being canceled after 2025?
Oh, just another year.
Oh, another year.
Of
I thought
their
we only
favorite
had one.
show.
We only had one more year. I didn't get the memo.
These days, I hope not, Zach. Please.
No.
Don't jinx us here. These days, I got a Ford Explorer Uber, and I was impressed with the silence and the quality of plastics in general. How reliable are they these days? Oh, you're right about the Explorer. Wow, less hard plastic in the new model. It really was plastic fantastic. I was never a huge fan of the interior design of the Explorer. Always loved the exterior, but it has become more reliable. It's been around a long time, and J.D. Power gives it a reliability score of 87 out of 100.
Well, that's pretty good. So, unfortunately, when we drove the new one, they gave us the ST model with the V6. with the turbocharged V6,
Yeah.
and that comes standard with a sportier exhaust that is really kind of quite fun and sounds great. Unfortunately, it's always on. It's not
Yeah.
one of those adaptive exhausts where you can make it quieter or louder, which I think would really make that vehicle spectacular.
Yeah.
Because after a while, it just became droney to me.
It
So we'd like to actually get back the regular. We should do that. We should get back the regular Explorer and give it another shot.
And if you want the more powerful powertrain that twin turbo V6 that the ST model has, you can get that in the Platinum model. So you still get all of that power that is an option in that model.
See, but I'd like to know if they changed the exhaust. I would almost think that with the Platinum,
I would think
it would
so.
be a quieter exhaust and the ST gets the louder exhaust. Something we have to delve further
Well,
into.
maybe we could reach out to Ford and we
Yep.
can find out if that's something we can get. Love you both. Thank you. I'm looking for a sedan hatchback as a second car, and I'm looking for something compact, fun to drive, and affordable. I live in Calgary, so all-wheel drive is a plus. Looking at total cost of ownership, upfront cost plus resale, plus fuel cost plus insurance. I've narrowed it down to the Mazda 3, Subaru Impreza, and Corolla Hybrid. Most compact cars in their mid-trims are already mid-30s, at which point I can also look at a used luxury car. So you put fuel economy
I just
on...
want to say one thing.
Yeah.
He's saying hatchback, right?
He said
wants
hatchback or a
sedan/hatchback.
sedan.
I was just going to say the Corolla is not available with a hybrid hatch.
He said Corolla Hybrid, so obviously means the sedan. You've got fuel economy on your list, fuel costs. I would say right off the bat that the Corolla Hybrid is the one to go for fuel economy. And another one to consider, although expensive, is the Civic Hybrid.
You know what I would get? Best bang for the buck, all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Are you gonna Impreza?
Impreza,
The Impreza
yeah.
really it impressed us.
I was going to say.
We were actually very nicely surprised by that. The suspension is quite soft, which we kind of thought was nice as an everyday commuter. Not sure if you want a sportier kind of feel.
He says it's a second car,
Yeah,
so...
I think that the Impreza is a whole lot of bang for the buck. You get all of the same running gear as the Crosstrek. It's just not raised up as high.
Yeah.
So I think that, and what was it called? Was it RS?
RS, yes.
The RS looked pretty cool. You don't have to get that one. You can get a cheaper model, but it comes standard with all-wheel drive. It's got the same functionality. The actual body shell itself is exactly the same as a Crosstrek. People do not believe that.
We went to the dealership to actually pick up the Impreza for the Subaru press fleet in Vancouver, and the salesperson said that people come in and they argue with him, saying, no, the Impreza is smaller than the Crosstrek. I don't believe you. He says it's the exact same. It just doesn't have all that cladding, and it doesn't get the ground clearance.
Yeah, so it's a hell of a good deal. I thought it was great. I enjoyed it.
We
And
did.
do yourself a favor. Get the 2.5 liter engine. It just makes the whole thing. Now, because it has a continuously variable transmission, it actually has pretty good fuel economy. Not the most. It's not lighting up the world for
No.
fun, but it's a good all-rounder.
And good value, as you mentioned, some of your criteria.
Oh, one more thing before we move on. Consumer Reports gave Subaru their #1 brand for reliability overall, pumping Toyota and Lexus down the list a little bit and putting Subaru at the top. So I think we've spent your money.
I also want to say, though, if you're looking for something fun and engaging as a second vehicle that is smaller, the Mazda 3 is great. However, get the non-turbo. Don't get the turbocharged. It's not necessary.
Yeah, but he wants all-wheel drive. If you want all-wheel drive, you got to get the turbo, unfortunately, and it's very expensive.
He's saying all-wheel drive would be a plus. He's not saying he has to
Then
have
get the
it.
Impreza. You get it all.
Often noted in subcompact SUVs, the steering wheel slightly interferes with the leg movement or bump the knees when getting in and out of the vehicle or while steering, even after seat wheel adjustments. Do you feel the same as you test drive so many vehicles? For example, I personally experienced the same. My height is 6 feet 2 inches with the Crosstrek at the time of test drive.
You wouldn't notice it.
I wouldn't notice because I'm not 6 feet and I'm certainly not 6'2". 6'2". But Zach, you don't usually.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. Listen, if you owned a vehicle, you would learn how to slide in and out of it. You know, that's one of the things when you get to a higher end vehicle like this one, where the wheel caddies away as you turn it off and on, and then it comes back down. You're not going to get that in a subcompact SUV. So just try them out and see which one you fit in the best, and you'll adapt. You will adapt. Or what you do is with the manual height adjustment, you just put it up every time you stop, and then you can get in and then bring it back down again. That might be something, that's a way of getting around it. An extra step for you, but there you go.
And you have to remember, it is the subcompact class. If you're 6'2" and these vehicles aren't working great for you, then maybe you really do need to go into the compact class. Do you think a Honda Odyssey hybrid will be released in Canada to replace the aging existing Odyssey currently being sold?
Who knows?
Who knows? I mean, you would think they would. You'd think they'd bring one out like Toyota did, but we're still waiting on a Pilot, a Passport hybrid. We're waiting on
well, they only have 2 cars that are hybridized. That's the Civic and the CRV. The rest of the lineup is still gas. You know what? One brand, I just read this this morning actually, that only has gas cars except for electric. They have one electric model. Is Volkswagen. Sales are up like 38%.
Crazy.
And they're up in the United States as well.
Yeah.
And they don't have hybrids. They have EVs. They have one EV, the ID4, and that's it. Everything else is gas.
I know. And Tiguan is big. Taos is big. Atlas is doing so well. It's just, I don't know. We sit in these presentations and you look at the numbers, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, like these are fantastic numbers for 2024.
Yeah, and you know, Volkswagen's market share in Canada is much stronger than it is in the United States. As a percentage of sales, Canadians like Volkswagen more than Americans do, and always have. And when I hear all of these comments, or read all the comments online, Volkswagen's crap, Volkswagen's junk, I would never buy a Volkswagen. It's just like people vote with their wallet, and they don't agree with you because they offer a lot of, how do you get off in a Volkswagen? But anyway, it's just, we have a Volkswagen. I love it. I think it's great. It's been totally fine. We've had it almost a year, no trouble with it. And I like the Taos too. I think they're all quite good. But the thing
Taos was in our top 5.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
What were we talking about? Anyway?
Anyway, I don't
We're
know.
on to the next
we're
question.
moving on. My friend just started a new job a couple months ago and is looking to upgrade from her 2009 Highlander into a new smaller SUV. She's thinking maybe a Mazda. What do you recommend? So she wants something smaller. She's got a 2009 Highlander. So I would say then go for... I'm a big fan of the CX-50 hybrid. She wants to get great fuel economy. It sounds like she keeps her vehicles for a longer period of time. The only problem with the CX-50, especially coming from a Highlander with very comfortable seats, the seats aren't that comfortable. The CX-5 seats are better.
I would go right back to the Toyota dealer and work on a RAV4 hybrid. Listen, it is the best value car on the road. Can I go through the reasons again, Andrea?
Sure.
It's a compact SUV, #1 category. It's a hybrid, which gives the best fuel economy of the class. It's the best-selling vehicle north and south of the border in Canada and the United States for non-pickup trucks.
Yeah.
And it has incredible resale value. And you're in the Toyota family. They're going to be a little more favorable if you've got a nice trade in there with the old Highlander. And yes, it ain't fancy.
But she's got a 2009 Highlander. It's not fancy inside. It doesn't have the updated technology.
Yeah, so this
With
vehicle,
the RAV4,
it's going to feel like a rocket ship in comparison.
For sure.
Now, if you can work through the summer and fall, there is a new RAV4 coming for the 2026 model year, so the end of this year, 2025. But even then, you could go and get a RAV4 and then in a couple of years trade it in on the new one.
Now, the newer model is, we've heard it's going to be exclusively offered in a hybrid and a plug-in hybrid. So
that hasn't been confirmed.
No, I'm saying that's what we're hearing.
Yes, that's what we're hearing.
We never said that.
We're saying
it's confirmed.
that.
We're thinking that it will be, which makes sense. It's the hybrid and the plug-in hybrid that they sell. I'd like to see then you just keep cranking up the inventory. But The newer one, if you are interested in that one, I think it will have a little bit more pizzazz. At least I'm hoping.
But this is, you can have your cake and
interior-wise.
eat it too. Work with your Toyota dealer because you're in the family. They can work to getting you a RAV4 hybrid. It might not be there right away, but is
Yeah.
this in the U.S.?
I'm not sure.
Anyway, and then you'll get the car and you'll
Doesn't
drive
say.
it and enjoy it. And like I said, if you see the new one and you just got to have it, they'll love to have your used one in and get the newer one.
But also look at the current model.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
mean, you might, is that what you were saying?
Yeah.
You might find that it's good enough for you. And
totally. And
get
it is good enough. It does
is.
everything it says
does
on the box.
everything well.
It does everything it says on the box.
And I find the
Okay,
seats
Andrew,
to
we're
be
getting
fairly
along here, so
comfortable.
one more.
Okay, this is a quick one. Do you have any plans to review any full-size pickup trucks? We have in the past. We've done the F-150. We reviewed the Silverado. We reviewed the Tundra. But what we find about full-size pickup trucks on our channel is that they don't seem to have a lot of pull. Like,
don't have a
people
lot of
aren't
pull.
that interested.
Actually, we got a mid-size pickup truck this week. We have the Ford Ranger with
Yeah.
the EcoBoost V6, which I'm really excited to drive. But it's really not our wheelhouse.
No.
And I got to say, there are some really good truck channels out there.
Fast
Like
lane trucks?
The fast lane truck, that's all they do is pickup trucks. I
Yeah.
mean, it's funny because my brother wants a pickup truck to tow an Airstream.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, oh, I'll ask the guys from Fast Lane Truck. He's like, you know them?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, it's like Elf. It's like, Santa? I know him. So
I know, it's
he was
kind of
very excited that we knew Roman and everybody from the
Oh my
Fast Lane
God,
Truck.
Roman and Tommy, the nicest guys.
Yeah, and they're all great guys at the
Okay.
Fast Lane Truck. So it's not like we're pushing views over to them.
No.
It's just that a full size truck isn't our wheelhouse. And if we've got 52 weeks of the year, we're going to pick vehicles that we think will get eyeballs.
Yeah, we'll get some pull. We do mid-size,
Mm-hmm.
you know. We do compact. Like the Maverick did really well. The Ranger does well. Tacoma does well. It's just those full size. I just think
one
there's
of-
less interest on our channel.
One of the problems with full size pickup trucks is there are so many variables. Like you have, in some brands, 4 or 5 engines to choose from. You can have different rear differentials. You can get different cabs, different boxes. It's just an endless. I had a chat with a chief engineer who did the Chevrolet and the General Motors full-size pickup trucks. He was the chief engineer. He said there are hundreds of thousands of variables. You can customize your truck exactly the way you want. And that's one of the problems we have when we review them. It's like, this is the truck we have, but you could get it 100,000 different other ways.
Where do you begin?
Where do you begin?
Where do you begin? And
Well,
that's
that's
it.
where do we end right now?
That's it for us. If you want to get a question in, follow along on Instagram at motormouth_Andrea every Sunday morning. I put a post out asking for questions. Once we gather them, the post is deleted and we start the show.
Talk to you then.